What is going on, guys? Welcome to a setup video. If you guys haven't seen one of my setup videos before, it's a little more relaxing than the Ninja reviews, less yelling, and I just set up a brand new cake muscle skateboard while reading your guys' questions and comments from Instagram. Stay tuned. So I broke the last skateboard for Friday's video. I was trying to land kickflip, 50-50 kickflip out, which is one of the first flip in, flip out tricks I've ever done on a ledge. So it was extra exciting, and it was even that much more legendary because the tail broke, and then I switched the board around and did it with the tail on the nose. And it's one of those things where you see like pros do it all the time, and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then when I did it, it became more than cool because I could actually experience it. I remember back in the day, my friend Bobby, he landed a nollie down this gap and his tail broke and he rolled away with the tail still broken. And I feel like there's a lot of people that enjoy watching that, but not a lot of people who've ever experienced it. And I can say that I've never landed a trick down some stairs, broke the tail, and still rolled away. So this was sort of my version of that. And it only took me 15 years to do it. Regardless, still epic, number one, because it was my first ever flip in, flip out, and I did it with the board backwards, and I did it the very first try where I turned the board backwards. So maybe I should just always skate my board backwards. We're going to get into your guys' Instagram questions. Yoop Houdini asks, favorite video games at the moment? If you guys aren't following me on Twitch, you definitely need to do that because we stream all the time. Typically, I'm playing Mario 64, but I have been playing a lot of Super Nintendo Kaizo games, so Super Mario World hacks, and I'm not very good at them, and I may never get good at them, but battling through these super crazy, extra difficult, impossible Mario World levels reminds me a lot of skateboarding, especially when you compare it to something like Flat Bar Friday or Flatbox Friday, because I'm trying the exact same trick over and over and over and over again. And that's essentially the premise for a lot of these games. You're gonna try the same move over and over and over again until you throw the shell just right so it bounces here and you jump off the shell and land on this platform and then kill the enemy. It's a lot like skateboarding, that game, minus that you can't actually get hurt versus skateboarding. If I fuck up a trick, I can really get hurt. Anyways, Mario 64 and these new Super Mario World Kaizo games are pretty much all I play. Twitch.tv/Ninja Lifestyle. By the way, next question is from Nathan Byrne, and he says, any advice for beginner filmers? And this may seem like really basic advice. I don't think there's a roadmap or a list of things you have to do to become a filmer, because much like skateboarding, you're granted a certain amount of freedom to be creative. That being said, there are a few basic rules, and as far as like understanding how the camera works, you can learn all that stuff on YouTube. I got my first DSLR and just watched a few YouTube videos and then started to figure out like, okay, exposure, ISO, focusing, and things like that. But as far as filming the actual skateboarding, all you guys should be doing is looking at the filmers and videos that you like and try to emulate that. And, of course, watch my weekly series, Ninja Review, where I tell everyone what they're doing wrong while making fun of them, while making myself sound perfect. So that's a great place to start for aspiring filmers. But there are these rules, I guess, for skateboard filming. For example, what you want to do most of the time is film the front of the skateboarder, or position your lens in a way where you're going to see the front of the skateboarder and the bottom of the skateboard. But all those rules have small exceptions. For example, back lip. Most people film back lip from the back side of the rail just because it looks better, and you guys will slowly start to pick up on these things as a filmer if you're paying attention. That being said, a lot of these snowflakes, they get out there, they film a skate video, and they just expect everyone to tell them that they're great at everything, when in reality, there are good filmers and bad filmers. There are good editors and bad editors. Not everyone is going to be good at it. And it's one of those things where if you don't have a passion for it, you're not going to progress very quick. You see a lot in these small skate circles, the least talented skateboarder will try to become the filmer, and it almost always fails because if you don't have that drive and determination to challenge yourself to get better at skateboarding, then how could you ever become a good filmer? How could you ever become passionate about it without a little bit of hard work? You look at Gonzo. Gonzo was a 300-pound man who both learned to skate and film because he had a real passion for it, and now he's turned it into his entire life. And had he never taken anyone's advice, or had he not spent those hours and hours and hours and hours watching skateboarding and figuring out what he wanted to achieve, he would have never achieved it. Generally, the filmer, if they're good in a skate group, is going to be the least lazy person in that group, especially if you think about filming ledge lines and you have 5 skateboarders and they're all taking turns. For every one attempt you take at your kickflip back tail and you land it, then you go for a crook 3 shove, every time you attempt that line, he's doing 5 other lines because you have 5 other skateboarders with you. And that's just a vague example, but filmers, don't be lazy, get good. Skateboard is almost put together, so we will rapid fire through a few of these. Freshy Frankie says, have you ever skated in Chicago? Yes, please type in Ninja Lifestyle Chicago or Ninja Lifestyle Chaz Ortiz, because these videos are pretty old and I know a lot of you guys are new to the channel, but I spent a week skating with Chaz Ortiz and staying at his parents' house, and it was great. We got a lot of videos done. Some of them are actually really funny, but I did not spend that much time street skating in Chicago, and having only been there for, I don't know, 6 or 7 days, I didn't really get a feel for the skate scene, but I did have a lot of fun and filmed some pretty cool tricks. What is the weirdest trick you've ever landed on flat? That one comes from Fur 99 Mini. This is a pretty good story because I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Buttery Ass Donovan. He used to have a series on the Barracks, and he had a pretty popular video where he played Sean Malto in skate, and he's just a really good flat ground skater. Anyways, for a while he was doing a lot of pop shove it to late shove it, and I saw him do the trick and I learned it specifically because of him, and I got to get pretty good at it. I was able to do that trick maybe 1 land out of every 10 tries, which for me, a shove it to late shove it, that's a pretty good ratio of attempts to lands. And one day I was doing shove it to late shove it, and the second part of the trick flipped, and I have no idea what it did. Maybe it did a shove it late varial. It feels like it may have done like a shove it to late nollie inward heel or something like that, because you're sort of flipping off the front. But I did some unnamed magical trick, regular shove it, and then I tried to shove it back and it flipped and I landed that. And I would say that's the weirdest trick because it's one of the only accidental tricks I've ever landed in skateboarding. That's one of those things. I feel like people who don't know anything about skateboarding, I feel like they believe that accidental tricks happen all the time, and in reality, accidental tricks pretty much never happen. The only accidental thing that happens on a skateboard is fucking horrible accidents where the skateboard goes into your asshole and shit like that, and that is typically not something to celebrate about. That was my weirdest trick that I can think of. Maybe there's another one. Maybe you guys have heard me tell a story in the past where I had another weird trick, but off the top of my head, that's the weirdest trick. Luis Gonzalez Films, maybe Luis, maybe Loris, says, how do you feel about board rails becoming a trend again? Board rails are those things, I'm sure you guys know, they're really popular now. They go here and here, and I'm not sure exactly what they're for. I think they're for doing board slides without having to wax the rail or ledge, and in that aspect I think they're cool. I think they serve a purpose and they don't stop skateboarders from doing anything, versus a trend like shaped boards, which is gonna make it a little harder for you to skate rails, make it a little harder for you to do actual skateboard tricks. For example, some of them have those weird shark noses, and you cannot tell me that you can consistently do all your nollie tricks, but you can consistently look weird, which again, that's a trend in skateboarding now. Whoever looks the weirdest is the coolest skateboarder now, rather than back in the day was whoever could do the coolest tricks and be the most consistent, which I think is why you'll never see these weird shaped boards hanging out at the park and playing a game of skate and skating well, because those boards, I think, are just there to make you look weird. Board rails, although they are trendy, they serve a purpose, and I've seen Josh Oakes was a guy I was skating with recently. He skates board rails. So does my friend CJ. and they skateboard rails, and they skate well, and when one board rail falls off, then they're just completely fucked. But other than that, I think those things offer kind of an advantage, especially if you're skating like a thin ledge. So anything to make more tricks happen on a skateboard, that's cool with me, as long as you're utilizing the board rails for something, because I'm sure a lot of people are getting board rails just because they see other people getting board rails. But if you watch Josh Oakes do, for example, he does front lip to Smith to 180, it's a little easier to go from the lip to the Smith when you have those rails, and it looks super cool. If you can make cooler skateboarding tricks happen because of something like that, and I'm really gonna have to draw the line here, because someone's gonna say, well, why don't you just fucking tape the skateboard to your feet and do backflips? There's always gonna be a limit to how weird and stupid you're gonna get. It still has to resemble skateboarding, but as far as board rails, A-okay with me. I think this is going to be just about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed how chill it was. By the way, Cake Muscle, you guys can buy one at cakemuscle.com. We are very low in stock. Christmas got kind of crazy, but I do have some ideas for maybe a new design or two, and I definitely do want to bring back, spoiler alert, this version, but the tie-dye version, because I think it looked really cool. I think wood grain is an awesome design too, but the tie-dye wood grain just sticks out, super bold, and those are the type of skateboard graphics that I like. Thank you guys for the Instagram questions and topics. I think we covered a lot of ground. I think we made skateboarding a better sport for everybody, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Kuna Matata, bitches.